Oh, all right, let's call this committee to order. Members, don't forget to go ahead and punch in on your keypad so that you're registered to be here and registered to vote. Members, this is the meeting of the House Government Operations Committee for March the 3rd, 2025. Clerk, please take the roll. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
And we thank you for that. All right, members, before we get started, do we have any personal orders? Seeing none. All right, members, we've got a few items on our calendar today. Let's go ahead and get this started with, and forgive me, I forgot my glasses this morning, waiting on those to get down here. First up, we've got House Bill 60 by Representative Raper, and we are going to be presented today, I think, by, thank you, Representative Eldridge. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Representative Eldridge, you are recognized, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. I'm honored to stand here in front of you today on behalf of our friend and colleague, Representative Raper, to present his House Bill number 60. The bill requires the Department of Transportation to install signs and markers on nearby interstates or highways to inform motorists of the availability of family restrooms at rest areas and welcome centers. It also requires them to list those on the website as well. And with that, I'll take any questions that the committee might have.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for the bill sponsor?
Question on the bill.
We have questions called. Let's go ahead and take the vote. All those in favor are positive. Oh, I'm sorry. Old habits. Clerk, please open the board.
Good job, little Ricky.
Has every member voted? And does any member wish to change their vote? Seeing none, clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 11 ayes.
Thank you for that. And with that, we will move out to Finance, Ways and Means. Thank you. Second item on our bill is House Bill 657 by Representative Hicks. We have a motion and a second. Representative, please present your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 657 states that the Division of Health-Related Boards is authorized to promulgate rules to effectuate this act. The rules must be promulgated in accordance with the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act, compiled in Title 4, Chapter 5. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions?
Question on the bill.
We have a question on the bill. All those in, I'm sorry, here we go again. Madam Clerk, please open the board for us. Take the vote. And has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? All right, seeing none, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 11 ayes.
Thank you for that. And you're moving out to calendar and rules. Yes, sir. Next up, we have item number 3, House Bill 921 by Representative Sapicki. We have motion and a second. Representative, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Committee. This legislation removes an outdated term, firing ranges, and replaces it with the word shooting ranges, which is more appropriate and commonly used term. Additionally, the bill deletes an outdated provision that allows the agency to hire concessionaire at ranges in operation prior to July 1st of 98. The agency's authority to hire concessionaires was clarified by the legislature in 2024. That's what it does, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that information. We have a question. Chairman Crawford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sponsor, I just want to get on record. This has absolutely nothing to do with private firing ranges or anything. This is just TWRA shooting ranges, correct?
You're recognized.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that question. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we are ready to vote for positive recommendation. Madam Clerk, please open the board. Members, everybody's voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Seeing none. All right, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 10 ayes.
My apologies, Mr. Clerk. Thank you for that. All right, House Bill number 921 will head out to calendar and rules. Next up, we're going to jump around a little bit since we've got been graced with the presence of Representative Sapicki. We're going to jump to item number 7. We got a motion and a second on House Bill 62. Representative Sapicki, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, for being so gracious to pull me out of order. House Bill 62 authorizes an athletic trainer who has obtained the proper training and certification to use dry needling and other physical modalities for the prevention, recognition, evaluation, management, disposition, rehabilitation, and treatment of athletic injuries. It clarifies that the practice of dry needling by an athletic director does not constitute the practice of acupuncture, and it authorizes the Board of Athletic Trainers to promulgate rules to allow the practice of dry needling for athletic trainers. That's what the bill does, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any dry needling questions? Seeing none, looks like we're ready. We have a question on the bill. Mr. Clerk, please open the board for us. All those in favor of a positive recommendation, you know what to do. Has every member voted? And does any member wish to change their vote? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 11 ayes.
Thank you for that. We have 11 ayes. That bill will go out, I'm sorry, House Bill 62 will go out to calendar and rules. All right, we're going to go back in our calendar now to item number 4 by Chair Lady Littleton.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second on House Bill 501. Chair Lady, you are recognized and allowed to hit who you wish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 501 creates the Tennessee Juvenile Justice Review Commission, which will be administratively attached to the Commission of Children and Youth and will meet at least quarterly beginning November the 1st, 2025, to review a sampling of juvenile justice cases and critical incidents involving delinquent juveniles in the custody of the Department of Children's Services. Right now, I serve on the Second Look Commission, and so we look at delinquent and neglect. So this would just have a second look for the juvenile justice, try to figure out, where we missed or if we missed something along the way that made them to become juvenile delinquents.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, you've heard the explanation of the bill. Do we have any questions? Representative Glenn, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, member. What will this information be used exactly for? What are we trying to get out of this report?
You're recognized.
It requires the commission to provide the Tennessee General Assembly with findings and legislative recommendations in an annual report by January 1st, beginning with the preliminary report in 2027. So we do send out an annual report of the findings that we found and what we think could be the resolution for the problem and recommendations on how to fix it.
Follow up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So are we using this information to try to get to the root cause of the juvenile issues, or are we using this information to redetermine sentencing guidelines or something like that? I'm just trying to understand what is this report? What are we using the report to actually get from doing this?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We study it to try and figure out what we missed and why they are juvenile delinquent and try and fix that problem so that it's more of a prevention thing. So we try to figure out what we missed, what DCS missed, what the parents missed, and we try to help fix the problem with the legislation.
Representative Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it's not going to be used to redetermine sentencing, things like that, like not in any kind of negative way.
You're recognized.
Well, that would depend on the courts if they've done something illegal. But those laws are already there. So no, we don't interfere with the punishment.
And last one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I understand that there are laws already on the books that determine juvenile sentencing. But when you're asking for a report, a sampling, sometimes we're asking because we need to make sure that those laws are that they fit the need or fit the crime. So we have to readjust or whatever the case is. I'm just wanting to make sure we're not doing that. We're only using it to help determine the root cause of why juveniles are committing such crimes.
You recognized?
That would depend upon the members that read it, the legislation that comes out of it. But basically, it's to study to figure out what we missed and how we can help with prevention.
Thank you for that. Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, sponsor. So I fully support data-based policymaking, which I think is what is the end goal of this and gathering this information. However, my concerns or questions rather stem from the same area of my colleague. Where did you get the appropriate sampling language? Is that from something being used somewhere else in the code? Because the sampling really makes a big difference on the end goal of the data.
You're recognized.
Thank you for that question. This is like the second look that we have now for the dependent and neglect. DCS sends a sampling of the worst cases that they have. And a lot of times there's been a death involved in it as well. You get the annual report every year. And that's where legislation comes from.
Any follow up? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so this is focused on these critical incidents. And my colleague asked about if this was to get to the root cause of this type of behavior or conduct, and you said it was mostly for the purpose of being preventative. So my question then is, in the critical incidents definition, it's talking about escapes by delinquent juveniles, talks about things that happen after the children are already in custody. So my question is, how do those relate to preventative measures or gathering data for the purpose of preventative policy?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The whole purpose of it is to study it from the beginning. Where did we miss them? Were they in the dependent and neglect at the beginning? What did we miss? But what other legislators do with the report is up to them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, so again, my concern is if we're looking to get to the root cause, I'm just genuinely curious why we're looking at the data. Not that we don't need to look at this data, but you represented it to be for purposes of preventative. And so there's a lot of things in here within the critical incident definition that are after the fact and when a child is already in custody and so forth, and behavior after that and treatment of the juvenile during their custody. So I'm just trying to reconcile those two. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you for that. Any follow up from you? Okay. Members, any other questions? And not seeing any. And did I see too that this can already be covered under existing personnel that are in the, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Members, any other questions? Questions been called. Please prepare the board. Mr. Clerk, open it up and let's take the vote. Every member voted. Any member wishing to change their vote? Seeing none. All right, House Bill. Oh, Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 9 ayes, 1 present not voting.
Thank you for that. Members, House Bill 501 will go out to calendar and rules. Thank you, Chair Lady. The next item up is House Bill 968 by Representative Hawk. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. We have a second. Representative, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. we've had a major concern for several years that vape products are finding their way into the hands of juveniles and underage users. Our school systems, our local law enforcement, our court system and juvenile courts are having incredible problems with the prevalence of vape products in our schools. Essentially, this bill creates a registry and ensures that products sold in the stores are only those products on the path to be acceptable to the US FDA. Right now, we're being flooded by Chinese products out there that are doing potential harm to our kids and our adults in the state of Tennessee, and this is a way to get at that. I do have an amendment on the bill. I'm not sure if this committee considers amendments or if it'll go forward to the next committee.
We can go ahead and take it up at this time if it'll help you get the bill in the proper posture going forward.
This is the first step for this piece of legislation. We've got Amendment Drafting Code 003732, which sets up a universal carding aspect to the bill, much like we're carding for alcohol and other tobacco products right now. It sets up a universal carding for stores that sell these products.
All right, thank you for that. And I'm sorry, could you repeat that amendment number for me, please?
003732
Thank you,
is the
sir.
amendment I have in front of me.
Yes, that is it. We have a motion on the amendment. We've got a second. We can take care of this by voice vote. All those in favor of going ahead and adding the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment is on the bill. Thank you for that. Let's see. Would you like to continue at this moment? I see we have some speakers, or would you like to take a minute, go out of session, and let's bring it forward?
I will before we go out of session, I will make a couple of more comments. TASER has done a very in-depth study recently and has suggested the aspects of this piece of legislation in particular to require vapor product retailers to check the ID of all purchasers regardless of age. As well, the General Assembly established licensing for vapor product retailers. This, again, to reiterate, this would prohibit the sale of any vapor product not listed on the directory in the state and provides retailers an opportunity to know what's on that list. There's over 400 products available for sale that are currently on the list available to folks through the FDA right now. And I'll leave it at that and let the speaker speak.
All right, thank you. With that, we're going to go out of session real quick. See, we've got, looks like a couple of people here, Mr. Danny Gillis and Chris Lautz, if I pronounce that correctly. If you would, please come forward. Make your way to a chair there in the front. And if you want to start right to left there, if you would, please state your name, who you're with, and go from there. You're hot. You're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representatives. My name is Danny Gillis, and I'm the president of the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association. We've been advocating for the rights of Tennesseans to have access to nicotine vapor products since 2014. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. Make no mistake, this is a big tobacco crafted bill. It is an attack on the state of Tennessee's vaping industry, our stores, and more importantly, on the rights of every adult consumer to access harm reduction products. This bill was written, introduced, and filed without the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association's input. We did not even get a chance to sit at the table to discuss this. In this legislation before you is the latest example of the continued weaponization of public health rhetoric to justify a prohibition of vaping products under the guise of protecting youth. However, the truth is that the American Association, the Cancer Society, the American Lung Association, and Americans for Tax Reform oppose this bill. This is what this bill does. It immediately pulls 99% of nicotine vaping products off the market, where only 34 products had been authorized by the FDA, and unfortunately, they're all owned by Big Tobacco. This bill will create a new and unfair wholesale tax structure to benefit Big Tobacco's products. It taxes open systems at a much higher rate that are sold in our stores than it does on closed products. This bill will also require the state to create a registry to monitor and enforce products we can sell, which is exactly what the FDA is currently doing. This will be impossible to track and enforce due to litigation and at the speed at which the federal regulatory landscape is changing. If this bill passes, around 700,000 adult nicotine consumers in Tennessee will be left without access to these safer products. Approximately 700 stores will end up closing, including 3 of my own. Approximately 2,200 jobs will be lost. This bill isn't a bill to help limit access to kids, and the recent TASER study confirmed that. This is a bill that allows Big Tobacco to take control of our harm reduction industry, and Big Tobacco is not even trying to hide what they're doing. The bill specifically requires retailers to purchase vapor products from tobacco product distributors, and they don't even sell our products. And the economic impact will be a loss of approximately $480 million as of 2023 reporting. This legislation is not grounded in sound science or effective policy. It is grounded based on ideology and misinformation, whereas youth vaping is a separate issue that should be addressed through enforcement and education and not prohibition for adults. There's never going to be a health justification for removing safer alternatives to cigarettes while allowing combustible tobacco products to remain widely available. Now, let me close with this, please. Flavored vaping products are essential to helping adults quit cigarettes that nearly kill 500,000 Americans a year. The FDA's own data shows that 83% of adult vapors use flavors. Banning them will only drive consumers toward illicit markets. Tennessee should support harm reduction and not pass this bill. And I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that presentation. Members, it looks like we've got some questions starting up already. Representative Glenn, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. You mentioned that you didn't have a seat at the table or who you represent. If you had a seat at the table, would there be any changes in this legislation that you could see that would make it applicable to both industries?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for that question. It's a great question. We've been here for 11 years advocating. I think the Assembly knows us very well. Representative Hawk, I've met with many times. We spoke about this bill a couple of years ago. It came up. And when we had that conversation, we had the same concerns about youth gaining access to these products. We put forth some legislation and some things that we thought that would help. Universal carding would definitely help. In my locations, in my stores, and most of the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association stores, you cannot walk in the door unless you're 21. We'd like to see that policy. Universal carding is great to add that, this amendment that just got added today. We've been begging for that forever. I was able to actually go recently and buy a nicotine pouch, walk up, purchase the pouch, didn't even ask me for my ID, didn't ask my age or nothing. And that would be on a vapor product or anything else. And that was in a gas station. What we advocate for is trying to close the actual openness of the product, shrink it down, put it in 21 over stores. That's what I would advocate for. But I'm open to all suggestions. I would like to sit with Representative Hawk or maybe Senator Yeager or all the interested parties to make it work so adults can still have access to these products. Creating a prohibition or restricting products from somebody who is not smoking, they're actually doing a 95% safer, scientifically proven, to take these products and remove them in the sense that it's for youth vaping is ridiculous. It's already 21 or over to vape and smoke in this state. Let's enforce some laws, make some proper regulations. I would prefer it to be have a license to sell it, because right now You can go to any location across the state who has a reseller certificate, and they can buy vapor products and sell them in their stores. That could be 10, 15, 18,000 establishments throughout Tennessee, but we don't know. There's no license to sell vape in Tennessee. So I think a vape licensure would be an interesting thing to do. The universal carding, I 100% agree with. I think a 21 over establishment is actually even better because it would shrink enforcement. It would give an opportunity to be able to enforce it better because it'd be not all over the place. So I'm open for all suggestions, but not a prohibition and not a flat out registry ban where you're going to try to keep up with what the FDA is doing. The FDA has litigation going on right now in the courts, and it's actually in the Supreme Courts. That's why there's not that many authorized products. They're going through regulatory action and they're going through litigation. At their discretion, they have let these products remain on the market because they know the health implication of taking them off the market. So this bill is 100% for Big Tobacco, Altria, RJ Reynolds, and others to destroy the industry of vaping so they can bring their products in after the stores close and they get authorized products, more authorized products. They have 34 right now. We don't have any authorized products. It's at the FDA's discretion. So this registry that they're trying to create, I can't get a list of what's on that registry. The FDA, if they ban products, which they do all the time, they're taken out of the distributor. The labs are closed. They stop the imports. The FDA is already doing exactly what this registry is trying to accomplish. It is going to be a burden on the state, and it's going to be a burden on our stores to try to know what is available to sell. And we're going to strand our customers to the black market. So I'm sorry for the lengthy answer to that. It's a very important topic, and it's a more inclusive than what we can get to in one setting.
Representative Glenn, follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, that was a lengthy answer, but
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. You mentioned, obviously, I think we all are concerned about kids, teenagers getting access to vape products. One of the reasons why so many schools have one of the biggest items that schools are finding with the scanners are vape products entering the school. You mentioned 21 and older only accessing the store. But that's not realistic for a convenience store. A convenience store, any kid can enter it. So are you saying convenience stores shouldn't be able to sell vape products, or should they not be able to sell your product?
Okay,
You're recognized.
thank you. That's another great question. I think what I'm trying to say is if the flavors are the problem and the kids are trying to find them, there's two different sides of the vape industry. There's the closed system side and the open system sides. The vape shops were created at the open system where you can refill them. The kids are not getting to them. They don't use them. They don't pick them up. They don't bring them to school. That's not where you're finding your problem. You're finding the problem on the closed system devices. So if you were to take a survey on every vape shop owner that is in the TSFA, they would say, listen, if you want to do a registry or if you want to control, do it on the closed systems and leaving the open systems alone like Florida did. Florida passed a registry bill that actually addressed the closed system and left the open systems for the adults to be able to access those harm reduction products instead of stripping everything off the market. It's called a reverse registry is what they called it. And actually they're working on legislation right now. I've talked to the president of Florida Association. They're adding age verification stores to the open system stores. So there's a lot of solutions to this complex problem, but it's not in prohibition. So the they're the same industry. You got Big Tobacco with their 34 brands. You have the closed system, which are the imports from China, which the FDA does know about, and the FDA does ban the ones that they want to ban. We can't get access to them. And then there's the open system. Everything is made in the United States, and they're all inspected by the FDA. So it's like a three-tiered vaping industry, so to speak. An outright ban because kids are getting it. We've been crying that since 2018. We tried to get a licensure bill in 2018 to bring them into just licensed stores. And the state wasn't willing at that time to take it on. That was in the height of the Juul epidemic and everything that was going on. And then we have the last couple of years, we've put forth our own legislation to try to help with the youth vaping problem because we saw it coming. We saw it happening and we have solutions, but we also would like to sit with our legislators and sit with others to be able to make common sense solutions, work for our adults and to keep it out of the hands of kids. We don't want a prohibition. It's the worst thing you could have is a prohibition right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Next up, I've got Representative Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it. I don't know about big tobacco or what's going on. My concern are the children and the consumers of the state of Tennessee. And I personally, on just full disclosure, I don't like vaping. I don't like smoking. I think it is creating a real issue. I've got 3 children in 3 different schools in this city, and the 2 older ones, there is nothing but vaping going on. And these kids, it has infiltrated the schools. Whether it's closed system, open system, what have you. So what we're doing now isn't working. I think some of your ideas are strong. I agree with some of what you're saying. I've heard it over the years since I've been up here. I do have a concern that, okay, children are getting a hold of this. We got to do something. Consumers are buying these. We want it to be safe if they're going to have the right to buy these. So what can we do? Because what I hear, and I've heard retailers talk about this, concocting their own flavors or doing whatever and creating what I call a chemical soup. How are we going to limit and know what's in that chemical soup in these open vaping systems?
You recognized.
In an open system environment, all of our e-liquids that we purchase, okay, if you're talking a DIYer, I mean, that's something do-it-yourselfer kind of a thing. That's not something that I have control over and never ever will. But the e-liquids that are manufactured in the United States, all these main brands that we have, they go through FDA inspections. I mean, they've been to their labs. They've actually have ISO certified labs. They have to have American products that have been approved by the FDA. And they have to have certain standards in order to stay on the market. And the FDA has been given their discretion to keep them on the market. And the ones that they don't, they remove. And I will not be able to get access. It might take a month, 2 months before it to climb out of the market and sell out, but we will not be able to purchase that product. So the FDA is kind of overseeing the American e-liquid. And there are closed systems that the little ones that you find in schools that are also being made now in the United States. They're starting to bring that manufacturing into the US, and they're filing for applications to be approved as an authorized product. So the ingredients can be whatever anybody puts in it if they wanted to DIY it, but that could be at any level of anything that you look at. A cigarette, it could be anything a DIYer could do. But at the point of sale and the products that are manufactured that we sell, those are all done through the FDA and through the inspection process, and we get them through our distributors, and our distributors are on the FDA's list. So everything is kind of trickled down to our stores.
You recognized.
Well, the standard on a lot of law is the impression of the consumer. And so what I'm getting at is a concern about your average consumer walks into a store. How do they know what is homemade chemical soup by that retailer or by somebody selling that versus something that has gone through the FDA process, the labeling and so forth? That's a real concern of mine. We also have an issue of the problem of advertising to children and making these stores attractive to kids, making it look like they're a fun place to go, visit. It's kind of the Joe Camel effect, so to speak. How would you suggest we deal with that? I mean, and that's a lot of that's on retailers, how they're decorating their store, how they're making it look attractive. And you say nobody 21 can buy this, but they are. And so what can we do better? What could this legislation include to address that advertising?
You recognized. You recognized.
I think the FDA does have guidelines on their labeling requirements and what needs to be on there. Certain information needs to be on the actual bottle, has to have QR codes. It can't have any childish or any cartoony or any trademark infringements. They do enforce that through the manufacturers that I purchase from. Now, the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association is the tip of the spear. We are the actual industry leaders in the state. We actually set the example for the others. We would request that Tennessee would help us enforce this youth problem, but the FDA is kind of already doing the packaging requirements and the labeling requirements and such. So we go by the guidance of the FDA right now on that. And as I think Tennessee also should, I mean, I think it would be very taxing for Tennessee to put a registry and then puts different requirements that the federal government is already kind of working on. They're doing it right now. So I completely understand where you come from. I can relate to each and every one of you that have heard it. I've talked to judges. I speak to my SROs. I talk to my police officers around the state, and I know the concerns of what's going on with these in schools. We have to come together and work on something that's sensible to keep it for adults to be able to access these products. That is the main focus, is getting everybody off cigarettes. This broad registry bill, and I hate to keep going back, it's crafted by Big Tobacco to basically shutter and take us off the market and just get rid of us. My job is to make sure somebody can live a longer life and a healthier life. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I have a lot of customers that have come and gone over the years that we've helped, from a cigarette to a higher NIC level to a lower NIC level to zero. I understand the state's concerns. The FDA is all over this. I can tell you that right now. The FDA works with all these manufacturers, works with all these distributors that are in this country. All the e-liquids that we sell that are open systems are coming through FDA guidance. It's already established. So we don't want the cartoony stuff. I don't carry it. I don't sell that stuff. I mean, there was a flyer going around that I saw that was going around the halls, and it had some product in there I had never seen. I don't know where the picture came from. And I'm one of the industry leaders in the country. I work with other state organizations. I know the products that are actually legal, and I know the products that are DIY made and somebody farted around and made something. So as a leader in our state, Chris and I and the board and all of our shops, we are trying to help work with this legislation, this legislative body right here, this body and the whole body of the state, to make sensible legislation. What they've done in other states with these types of registry bills and bans have been an outright failure. And it's, you know, the tax reform associates, they have information they've given us, and the VTA, the Vapor Technology Association, some of the information we've received, when they implement such regulation or opposing taxes, like different tax structures, it drives people back to smoking, or it goes straight into a black market. So there's room for us to sit at the table and work with Representative Hawk or Senator Yeager or anybody in the room that would like to sit with us. But then outright registry and a ban on our products is not proper. It's actually prohibition, and it's going to cause harm to our state. Health harm. This is an adult product. Make no mistake. This is not made for kids. This is made for adults. I would like to see it in 21 over establishments when you walk in the door. That's what I would like to see, not sold anywhere else. Tobacco and menthol, keep them in the convenience stores and gas stations. Take all the flavored vapors that are out there, put them in stores like mine. 21 or over to walk in my door, and I card every single person. It's all over my doors. It's all over his doors. You can't get, are there bad actors? Yes. Can we get past laws to lead by example with like us? Yes. That's what we're trying to do to keep these products on the market. There's a lot of health associations tied to this bill. So I'm sorry my answers are long, but it's such a huge, it's been 11 years, and this has been coming for a long time. This conversation, trying to work with legislators to get something passed, has been coming a long time. We've been trying to work, and we're willing to sit at the table and work with you guys. And we don't want it in the hands of kids. I promise you that. We do not want that.
Thank you for that. Representative Sherrill, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank y'all for being here today. Just a little bit to say about this. I don't believe any of it's good as far as vaping or smoking or chewing or dipping or any of that's really good for us, but it's here to stay. But is there any kind of proof, study or anything, the difference in where these vapes are made in China versus made in the United States?
You're recognized.
You want to take that? Let me take that. Okay, so all of our hardware, all the vaping hardware is pretty much made in China, the actual hardware itself for our open systems. All the e-liquids that go into our products are all made in the United States. Some of the I guess you're talking about the Chinese disposables, the little self-contained pod systems. They are manufactured in China, probably 90% of them. And some of the e-liquid, I guess, or all 90% of the e-liquid is coming from China that you vape. The FDA does have some oversight in that area. I don't know how deep they go into that because they're constantly banning them. And as they ban them, they come off the market. Some they're leaving on at their discretion, and some they take off. We have one, which I could show you if I could pull it out of my pocket. I brought this for illustration purposes. This is a closed system disposable that you might find in a school, okay, that you could possibly find. It's very stealthy, small. This is an American-made company right here. This is American Juice. This is actually manufactured, about 60% of this product is manufactured in the country. They bring the actual parts into the country and they're putting them together. As a matter of fact, the owner of this company from 50 Bar, 50 states, it's named after 50 states. The owner of this company, his name is Brady. And I talked to him on the phone the other day, and he's looking to put a plant in Arizona. And Arizona is talking about subsidizing his plant to bring these products and have them made in America, so we can get the Chinese vapes out of everything. We'd like to have it, all the juice and all the manufacturing made in the United States. So a reverse registry bill, I mean, something that would do the closed system, I'd be open to. This has a purpose for an adult. This has 50 milligrams of nicotine. This can get somebody off of a cigarette really quick, and then they can go into an open system and go down to 12 milligrams of nicotine, 6 milligrams, 3 milligrams, 0 milligrams, and then quit. I've done it thousands of times. I have 37,000 customers just in my database of my 3 locations. Representative Faison, I have one in his district, and I have 2 in Sevier County. So FDA kind of knows exactly who is who in this game. They know which one's Chinese and which one is American. They're already regulating these products. The e-liquid is all coming to this country. It's going to be into this country pretty soon. I mean, I could just pretty much say with the administrative change at the federal government, that I would believe that you're going to see Chinese disposables, pretty much be said, you're done, make it in America. That's what I believe Trump's policy, the FDA policy is going to be. That change is coming. It's probably going to be here within 4 to 6 months. This company is already way ahead of it and is trying to get business. He actually was thinking about coming to Tennessee as well. So right now, the FDA is in charge of this, and they're the ones that are actually setting the guidance on who can be sold and who can't, and they're forcing Customs Border Control of what comes in and what does not.
Representative Cheryl, do you have a follow-up?
Just to say this, China has a tendency to want to put their junk on us in America. So, but anyway, thank you for this time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. Let's go on. I hope I don't destroy your last name, Mr. Lotz. If you could, please state your name for the record and try and keep it to about 3 minutes if you could.
Yeah, after all that, I don't have a whole lot to say. Sorry, but no, it's good. I'm Chris Lutz. I'm the Vice President of Tennessee Smoke Free. Main thing I was just going to touch on were states that already had these registry bills enacted. Massachusetts was one of the first ones back in 2020. They ended up seeing $135 million loss of revenue. Smuggling went from 19.9% to 37.6%. The state lost an additional $224 million annually. New Hampshire, on the other hand, did not have a registry bill, so they ended up a 22% increase in sales just crossing the border. New York did a similar ban in 2020. They saw smuggling rates climbing to 43.5%. They lost about $400 to $500 million annually because of the sales there that they killed. California did the same thing in 23. They're looking at 150 to 200 million tax shortfall for California because of these registry bills. Alabama, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and these are just some of the states that have passed it, but every one of these states has just a massive negative impact on not only just taxes, but small business support. A lot of these businesses are closing. Louisiana actually tops the list with 100 plus closures, which represented 25% of their shops there. Anyhow, that was kind of pretty much what I wanted to talk about, was just some of the numbers. I'm more of a numbers guy.
Okay, thank you for that. Members, we have, I see a question. Representative Renaud, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier, Mr. Gillis stated about the FDA only having 34 products, I believe, that would be eligible to be sold. Is that the closed system products?
You're recognized.
Oh, yes, they're closed system. There's 34 products, and their nicotine levels range from 50 and 24 milligrams. There is no other option but 50 milligram or 24 milligram. And there's 34 products. Those are the only ones authorized by the FDA at this moment.
You're recognized.
And you're saying that, well, let me go back, let me go fast forward to another question. My understanding that FDA has roughly 400 to 500 products in process of being approved. Would you not be able to also sell those products that are within the approval process?
You're recognized.
And that's a great question. I have never seen that list. I've looked for that list. I don't know where this list is coming from. Nobody's showing me this list. We can't find it at the FDA. We can't get it through the state. I don't know where this list is. So I'd love to see it. I don't even know if it's products that we sell or if our consumers use. So that'd be something I'd be interested in seeing. What was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
You're recognized.
So the FDA does not provide a list of products that are approved to stores or businesses that are engaged in this.
Mr. Louds?
So, the list currently is 34 approved, but understand the FDA is fake. They've got over 20 million applications, which they do not put those on they're not in a database of who's pending or who's being looked at or whatever. So the notion that there's these 34 and then suddenly now there's 400, that is not fact at all. We have 34 products that have a MGO, a marketing granted order. That's it. Everything, if something is in the process of review, the FDA does not provide that information.
Follow up?
Could you tell me how many products, these are closed system products you sell in your store?
You're recognized.
Sure. Thank you for that question. I have approximately 4,000 SKUs, and that's some of the same flavors, but in different nicotine levels. So, and then I have some of my hardware as well in that. So if you were to take me down to 400 products, so to speak, you would basically I would have to lay off employees, close my stores. I wouldn't be able to stay open. Whereas in like a convenience store or a gas station, they might have 50,000 or 60,000 SKUs in those stores. I am a nicotine vapor industry product. And if you limit the availability of these products through whatever this list is, which I haven't seen, I don't even know if my consumers are using these products and if they would use these products. These consumers have been with me for a long time, and anybody who's in the industry, kind of follows the guidelines of what the consumer likes, and then the other ones that just don't work, we kind of let them fall off and continue on their journey. So it's actually, 400 products, whether it would keep a store sustained, I would say absolutely not, because of the selection that wouldn't be there for the adult.
You're recognized. And if you could, please make this last question.
Sure. Of the products you carry, how do you know that they're safe? If the products you have are not going through some sort of safety testing, how do you determine which products go into your store?
You want to take that?
You're recognized.
I mean, as far as, how do we determine it's safe? We look at reputable brands. This is the one thing that has a track record, that maybe has American support system, stuff like that. One of the brands, Geek Vape, they got a customer support out of Michigan, but they've got a great reputation for making solid devices and stuff like that. And like he mentioned earlier, all the e-liquid that we carry for the open systems, they're all made in the United States in ISO labs, like he mentioned earlier.
Ingredients.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's see. Representative Mayberry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I work with students, and I know the effects on these products in their lives. So coming into this, I was very much supporting. I've heard your comments. I'm making decisions here, but I do want to hear back about, you talked about the FDA timeline there. So if you're telling me that the FDA, there's 400 products that she just mentioned there, Representative Renaud, how many products are you aware of if they're not 400? Because obviously there are products in the FDA pipeline.
There's 34 products. That's it. There's no 400. I don't even know where that number comes from, because there is no list of 400 that we've seen or that I've been able to find through FDA or through other, industry advocates. So that number's being thrown around. I don't even know where that number came from.
You're recognized.
But you said 34, though. I thought 34 were approved already.
34 were approved. But the FDA doesn't really provide a list of things that are in application review process. At least we've not been able to find one on their site.
Ever.
No. So there's really no way to know.
Representative Mayberry.
So, okay, that's what you're saying to me, that you're saying there's no way to know, but it wouldn't make sense to me that there's 34 approved, there's none in the pipeline. That just would not make sense to me
I'm
whatsoever.
sure there's some in the pipeline, but they don't provide a list of ABC company, et cetera, et cetera. They don't, that I've been able to see.
Last question.
Please.
How long does approval take typically?
You're
for products?
recognized.
Right now, it's undetermined. I mean, there's a lawsuit with the Supreme Court right now, and we don't know if the FDA's posture, if they're just hanging back and doing it, but the Fifth Circuit ruled against the FDA in they call the Triton case, was the person who brought that suit, saying they acted capriciously and they didn't, due diligence and stuff like that. So the Fifth Circuit kind of ruled in our favor as an industry, and now it's being taken to the Supreme Court.
Thank you for that
And
comment.
I mean, I don't know if that's slowing up the approval process.
And thank you for that. Excuse me just one second. Members, we are running up against the clock here. Chairman Hawk, for our committee purposes, we've run out of time. Would you be open to rolling this? I'm sorry, we're back in session.
If I could say a few things. We're in the business to get down to facts and the truth in this committee. I've got a list of those 400 products right here, and I'm happy to read them all off. Obviously, we don't have time, but let me give you 2 or 3. Jimmy the Juice Man, Blueberry, French, Vapetasia, Royal, Suicide Bunny, Vapetasia Strawberry, Suicide Bunny, Suicide Bunny Mother's Milk. There's 400 on this list right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the market is being flooded with illicit vapes that are overwhelmingly manufactured and exported from China. These folks do it the right way. For everyone that's doing it the right way, like these gentlemen, there's thousands of folks that are not doing it the right way, and it's harming our kids. I'm happy to roll the bill, but let's ensure we get to hear from the proponents of the legislation when we reconvene this committee.
Yes, sir. We'll do that.
And be true.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're going to roll this 1 week. Members, our apologies to the last folks on the calendar today. We didn't make it to it. Sorry, Commissioner. We motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Okay. So House Bill 242 was rolled for 1 week.